accessing digital resources online. The students must know what to do, like having some protocols or having some etiquette, and as Dr. Naidu talked about. There's also some inclusion of social media as official means of communication. Previously, even some universities were limiting social media access on campus. You find that during some certain hours, maybe Facebook is not accessible. Now, Facebook and other social media are official forms of communication, and people have even been using them to teach. People have been using them to have online sessions and such. There is the coordination of teams virtually and meetings. That is another administrative aspect that has taken place in Kenyan universities. We have meetings even now, even at night, virtually. We have collaboration meetings. We have administrative meetings that are required, and that is being done virtually. There's also the review of policies. Many might know, or some may know, that in Kenyan universities, we have what we call the Taifa Project. Students joining through the government initiative always have a laptop when they're joining first year, provided by the government, and it's usually subsidized. Now, these laptops are usually given to students who are reporting campuses. Now the students are working at home, so that aspect of must have, must not have has not been able to work so well. Then the other aspect in terms of experience is the trainer's competence. As a computer scientist, we usually have been assuming that everyone who knows how to use a tool can teach others how to use the tool. But when it came to virtual experience, the usage versus the pedagogical experience, for example, how you teach programming in a computer lab and how you teach programming online seems like have variations. Now, the third experience is on technical issues. Now, the technical issues in terms of the network time, downtime, the disparities in terms of levels of coverage within the country. And something else is to do with the technical is the cost. Currently, we are using a Zoom, and I give example of Zoom because it's what we are using today. These tools are said to be free, but a Zoom meeting will use between 550 MB to 1.62 GB data per hour. That is, on average in Africa, maybe goes to almost, the average is $7 maybe. So the webinars might be free, but not free to users. So that when the student is at home and in the rural villages, that is a cost that they must bear. Now, if you take the same experience and imagine when you want to have a rap session with those students, and usually the universities in Kenya through what we call Kennet experiences will have a subsidized cost of internet, which you have not been able to extend to students in their houses because the connection by Kennet is to university through their campuses. So even the movement from the vendor-driven to consensus has been there. What I mean by that is that universities started by Zoom, others by Google Meet, but eventually this institutional body called Kennet, which is the Kenya Network Users for Education body, we have been able to use the big blue button in their platform. And therefore, it becomes quite easy for you, even as an administrator, to see the number of meetings people have had, the number of classes someone has had from the Kennet portal of your university. The third experience, which is also technical, is in the aspect of the free and open source softwares versus the commercial tools. Universities usually have the benefit of buying licensed softwares. For example, I use the example of SPSS for data analysis. It's quite difficult for us now to extend that license to students who are working from home. And if they do that through the VPN, then the number of users also are limited. Then the use of e-learning tools, the choice between the Piazza, which is free, and Moodle, which is free and you can customize. The paid ones like Blackboard has been an issue in the country, and which one is more effective on this, which one is more effective. In fact, the current debate now is how can we be able to have a full experience of having the examination process online as it is usually, and that is the debate on which tools people are using and which one are the cost-effective ones. So there's a challenge of licenses, and also in my own experience, I usually run the anti-plagiarism and the postgraduate support lab. Now we have had an issue of limited costs and limited licenses of tools like anti-plagiarism. What I mean by this, we use Turnitin. The university has like 500 licenses. So Previously, the postgraduate office could use one license to check the lessons from each department, that is postgraduate department office for each faculty. But now the students must submit their work online, they must submit their coursework online, and therefore this study team has now become part of the e-learning tool that we use, and therefore the limited licenses of 500 has become an issue. The other experiences on the use of library access to students and staff. We know that there are some licensed or paid to use facilities like IEEE, Springer Books, Elsevier, and others. The universities have now extended the VPN to the students, and students must register the university so they can access that tool virtually using the VPN. And therefore, because this is now limited to departmental libraries, and therefore there is more traffic to departmental websites than before. We are also moving towards user-centric approaches. Previously, the digital learning environments were usually computer-based, like laptop-based, virtual learning laptop-based. Universities now are developing mobile apps, which are now in Google Play Store, which are now broadcasted on the Play Store, and you can download and use that, such that the students can be able to get the same experience from their mobile phones. The fourth aspect is the influence on pedagogy, and that is what we have had. In our university, we use the teaching for understanding mechanism for teaching certain courses in programming and such, where that approach emphasizes on facilitated group work, generative topics, and such. And it has not been easy for us to do that virtually, because you find even some students will log in and then they leave the activity logged in and they go to attend to other activities. So when you ask, Mwangi, can you answer this question? The student is not even available and such. So it becomes difficult to have facilitated groups. The other aspect and the other experiences on the lab sessions, students having to do the lab work in their home. We have a challenge. For instance, we have courses like what we call hardware support, where the university buys the toolboxes, buys old machines for students to learn how to repair them. The students cannot buy all these tools to their houses. It's not possible, and therefore we have to restructure the curriculum in a way that this course, we hopefully that there shall be a partial opening and we offer such kind of courses. Other universities have offered those courses partially and have done modification where they have the virtual labs and others. And that leads to something that we have also experienced called the course design change. We have restructured the examination process. Things like we used to have boardroom moderation of exams. We cannot meet in a room. And if we meet, we are meeting in a hall. And that means that we have now even to go to subject specialists to meet and moderate exams, or even have virtual meetings for moderating exams, which we never used to have. They used to be physical meetings. We structure the roadmaps for teaching. As I said, the course like hardware support, which requires you to have a lab and to have hardware equipment. Many universities have rescheduled them, and that means the prerequisites that require that course also have to be rescheduled. We also have had student-centered approaches, like distributed pedagogy, as I call it. In the classes that I'm teaching programming now, we have even to bring on teaching assistants online, so that when I'm teaching the courses, for example, ICT security, we have the students online, the teaching assistant also online, and then we divide the teaching assistants to some groups of students and such, and then they follow up. So we cannot have a tool. We also had PhD colloquiums. We had a lot of activities online, and people participated, over 200 people from all over the world. Industry engagement and mentorship, they are still ongoing virtually.